Find us on Facebook, email us at head2headpinball@gmail.com, or go to our website at head2headpinball.com.
Welcome everybody to the Head2Head Pinball Podcast. This is episode 57 and my name's Martin, and with me...
It's Ryan C. Marty, last week we said we were going to get everyone on from Deadpool. Are you ready for our first guest?
I am absolutely ready. Let's do this.
Okay, our next guest is somewhat of a mystery man. We've never heard him talk on a podcast before, but he's here today to tell his story. He's been working at CERN as a programmer since 2013, I believe. He's been working on games such as Kiss, Star Trek, and Mustang, but now he's a software lead on the brand new CERN game, Deadpool. The guy with the coolest name in pinball, Tanio Klyce. How you going, Tanio?
It's true.
Good. I'm doing well. Thanks a lot for having me on, guys.
Thanks for joining us.
So we've now obviously had Deadpool released, and we've now had the Dead Flip stream. So people have actually now been able to see the game and see what you've been able to do. How do you feel the response has been to the game so far?
It's been great. I was really anxious going up to the stream just because, I had no idea what the response would be, but we had a great time. We had most of the team in there, lots of the artists and the programmers, and we were having a good time playing it. And the response was just awesome. All the comments were very positive, and people seemed really excited about the game.
That's awesome. Yeah, and we want to talk about Deadpool in detail because this is why you're kind of being pushed into the spotlight at the moment.
Yeah.
But let's rewind it back because, as I said, you've never kind of told your story before, and I know it's cliche to say how did you get into pinball, but I'm not sure if you want to go back as far as that first game on the Black Knight that I saw on This Week in Pinball, where you were battling out with Steve Ritchie, or take us there.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, well, when I was a kid in the 70s, I came across some pinball machines like Evel Knievel and Kiss and things like that, but I never was good at it, and so it was they attracted me, and I walked up to them and played them, and they dinged, and then the ball drained, and that was it. They took my quarter. The first game that really got me into pinball was Black Knight, the original Black Knight, 1981. It was at this movie theater. I grew up in New Orleans on the West Bank. There was a movie theater that me and my friends would go to all the time, and there was an arcade around the corner. But in the movie theater, that's where all the pinball machines were. And Black Knight, it was right around the time when the Conan the Barbarian was out, and Excalibur, and all these movies, and we're all playing D&D and just really into, all that kind of like knights and barbarians and all this stuff. And so after coming out of seeing Excalibur, Black Knight is there, and like hearing other people playing it, you hear Black Knight like taunting people and play me, challenge me, who will challenge me, and some reason that just really just drove me in. Like, and all back then it was it sounded like sort of like a robot. It has the sound of horses in it, like the horse galloping towards you, and even though like back then it was just it was very low res, it just was a very intense experience. And that game, it was the first game that had ramps and an upper play field, and just the speed of it, and the fact that he kept on taunting the Black Knight character keeps taunting you and challenging you, just kept me coming back. And I started developing some amount of flipper skills at that point. So that's how it got started. And from there, I was playing other games. Like at the same movie theater, they had Flash Gordon, and then they had Black Hole, and then they had Haunted House, and then they had the Atari Hercules there.
Oh yeah.
After that, it sort of ended at that movie theater. Like that, everything.
Yeah, that game ruined a lot of things.
Yeah, ruined pinball forever.
Yeah, just like 50 cents. Went from 25 to, I don't know if it was Black Knight that was 50 cents for the first time, and that was like it was a lot, but it was worth it. And then Hercules, it was $1. And so I tried it a couple times, and then it was just too big and expensive.
That's how you got out of pinball.
I think at the time, it was Black Hole was probably the first 50-cent game.
Okay.
And which was obviously interesting because it is such a brutal game that you'd put your 50 cents in and game over.
Yeah, well, I loved that game anyway. some reason I really like the difficult games. I now have a Black Hole in my basement, as well as a Black Knight and a Haunted House and Centaur and all that. That's and I also have some electromechanicals, and I have Stearns that I've worked on, and I think the only Williams DMD I have is Getaway.
So you're a Steve Ritchie fan.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, I think you said the first, and I'll do air quotes that you can't see, pinball that you bought was Hyperball.
Yeah.
Which is
exactly.
Questionably whether it's pinball.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Well, I was thinking about that. I mean, I know it's some people don't consider it pinball, but I don't know. I'm interested in the whole history of pinball, and before 1942 or 3, there was no flippers on pinball, and so I figured if those machines were pinball, like back to 1931 or 2, then Hyperball is pinball too. It doesn't have flippers, but it's got a gun, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just as much pinball as a flipperless, and it's even, you know, at least in my opinion. But my backup answer to that, if Hyperball, if people don't think Hyperball counts, then I think the first flippered pinball machine I bought was Gottlieb Big Shot, which is an EM from the 70s.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So after that my early pinball time, I started going around the corner to the video arcade and started playing Robotron and Joust and Centipede a lot. And I eventually ended up, I was in the video game industry for a good period of time, for about 14 years. Some part around 2008 is when I came back to pinball, and it was right at the time where pinball almost went out of, or Stern almost, you know, they were in trouble, and that's right around the recession. But for some reason, that's the time at which I caught on to this thing.
Well, is that, and, I mean, why do you think that is? I mean, as I said, you're working in the video game industry, so was it a desire to get into something that was more physical and mechanical versus, you know, were you too deep into the kind of programming and virtual experience?
Yeah, pretty much. I'd been playing video games and then working on and making video games for a while at that point, for about 10 years in 2008. And I'd spent a lot of my career, you know, sitting at a computer. So for entertainment, it no longer was interesting to me to sit and on a couch and play a console game, or sit at a computer at home. And I really wanted the social experience that I remember from when I was a kid. Like we'd go to the arcade and people take turns, and you know, it's more than just sitting in the dark or sitting in your office by yourself. And the thing that got me back into it, though, was a video game. It was I was sick over Christmas in 2007 or so, and I had a Sony PlayStation Portable, and I had Gottlieb Hall of Fame, which is one of the Farsight arcade games. That's really what re-sparked my interest, was playing that. And at first I was playing, I think it didn't have Black Hole on it. I don't remember which games it had. I was playing the modern ones, but then I started playing, it has Big Shot in it, and it also has some wood rails in it. And I played Big Shot like for a couple days straight. Then I decided I need to go find one of these things in the real world. That led me to one thing, like finding some guy in Texas selling one, and that I shipped to California. And then also I discovered that I lived right by, like within a couple miles of Lucky Juju, which is in Alameda, California, and it's now called the Pacific Pinball Museum. At that time, it was called Lucky Juju, and it was...
That is a way better name than the Pinball Museum, Lucky Juju.
Yeah, and it was just he started out as just one back room that he rented. You'd go in this back alley, and there was a neon sign that said pinball on it, and you go in there and give him some money as a donation, and then there's room full of pinball machines. He started with Michael Schiess started that place. I think he started it because he needed a place. He started collecting pinball machines because he was going to re-art them for an art project, and then he realized that they already had art on them that was really pretty cool, and so he wanted to set them up and share them with people, and also just get them played so they didn't get rusty and out of order. And that grew into what's now the Pacific Pinball Museum, which is very cool place. Now has at least 3 or 4 rooms, it's pretty big. And then they have really nice collection of wood rails and wedge heads. So when I first went there, it was mostly 70s pinball machines, because that's what he was really into. And that was the first time I played an electromechanical machine since I was a kid, and since I had better skills now. It was pretty incredible experience for me, because they like what I was really interested in. I'd been making video games for so long. that it kind of blew me away that you can actually make game state and you can program a game without having a computer. You have, like, those things have all the logics and relays and switches and motors. And I hadn't seen anything like that before. And they'd open up the lid, and I'd just look under and like, oh my God, that's a game in there? Like, all the logic that I've been programming for years is like, one bit of information is stored on this thing that has 2 coils on it and like a bunch of wires on it. And so I became fascinated with electromechanical stuff at that point. And then I started collecting, and I started hanging out there and volunteering. And I remember pretty quickly into my time at hanging out with the dudes at Lucky Juju, that's Michael Sheese and Dan Fonts and Jem Gruber were the main guys there. I remember telling Michael, like, man, I want to make a pinball machine, and he told me I was crazy, and he was right. So that began my journey, and pretty quickly after that, he put me in touch with Wade Krause, who Wade Krause is, Wade Krause does pinball playfield reproductions. Like, he's licensed with Gottlieb, so he does if you want like a really great Kings and Queens playfield, or you want a Sky Jump or Eldorado, he makes really great stuff. But he had also done a project with Michael to do a visible pinball machine where they took Surf Champ and took the whole cabinet apart and measured it all out, and Wade recut it all in what is it? I think it's plexiglass or some sort of clear material. So they have this at the museum, a completely clear Surf Champ, and so you can as you play, you can watch all the motors running and everything, and it's really really intriguing. So from that, Wade had gotten in touch with Dirty Donnie. They had done a project called Circus Punks before, which.
So when you said you wanted to build a pinball machine, sorry, what, was it the hardware stuff? Was it the software? Because you're a software guy, or you wanted to do everything?
Oh, I wanted to do everything. I wanted to do everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yes. Yeah. I wanted to do the whole thing. I've been doing software for a long time, but I've also always been sort of an electronics hobbyist, and also I play music, and so it's sort of multimedia. I guess that's what we call it in the 90s. That I've always been interested in making stuff, not just out of software, not just out of art, but stuff that's sculpture or that has motion or some sort of mechanical aspect to it. So I've mostly been software, but I know some amount about electronics. Mechanical stuff I'm all right at, but I usually break things.
So before we then go into the pinball, so when you were saying you're doing software, you've actually worked for some very high-profile gaming companies, right?
Yeah, I have. The last video game company I worked at was Valve Software, and they're responsible. You'll know their name from Half-Life 2, Counter-Strike, Team Fortress, and also the whole Steam system, which is which is why
they probably don't produce that many games anymore, because they're making money off the platform.
Yeah, well, they have a lot of people who are making games, but they don't have to deliver them quite as quickly as everybody else, because they have a lot of time. Are you
responsible, Tanio? Is it when you left there, Tanio? Is that when Half-Life 3 got cancelled?
I can't comment on that. I'm sorry.
Is that what you're saying, like with Valve sort of moving more to become a distributor network and not necessarily focus on producing their own games? Is that kind of where you're sort of in your head, you're thinking maybe I need to move on to something different?
I guess I've always followed my interests, and I really wanted to work be a pinball programmer since 2008. The opportunities weren't really there at the time. 2008 was the Stern factory was down to bare bones, staff just to keep it alive. And since then, it's grown tremendously. I got to be friends with Steve Ritchie back when he was in California after during the dark period of pinball, or at least of the 2008 dark period. And I'd met him at shows, and he was, we just got to be friends and talked about pinball a lot. And then at some point he got hired back by Stern once Dave Peterson and the Peterson group came in and brought some new funding and new business strategies and things like that to the company, they were able to start rebuilding it. And Steve went back, and when he went back, he said he told me, like, he tried to get me in here, but once he got back, he forgot about me. not really, but the opportunity wasn't there. I mean, plus they already had the programmers they needed at the time. So I mean, they had Lonnie Ropp and Lyman Sheets and I guess Wei Sun Cheng was there, and Mike Kizavat. So they had the staff they needed for the games they were putting out. But I kept on touching base with Steve over the years, and after AC/DC was done, Stern, that game sold, like, it's still selling well. It really helped. That success really helped build the company up, and they could start building up the team and building up the development team, building up everything. So,
well, I'm curious to ask that, because obviously you being a pinball fan as well, do you think, we sort of always say, I guess that moment in time was AC/DC really was the turning point which put pinball back into a bit more mainstream, and therefore that's what started Stern on their new voyage, I guess. What do you think it was? Do you think it was the theme? Do you think it was the layout? Do you think it was the rules? What do you think it was that was special about AC/DC that really was this saving grace?
Well, there were a lot of pieces in that game that make it great. The Bell toy just by itself is pretty darn cool. The music, I think what Steve, it was loud.
It's a Steve Ritchie game, right?
It was a loud rock concert. So that part of it was a huge win for it, and then just the whole combination of like a good play field and just excellent game code, really funny dot animations. Like it had, like it was an interesting combination of like, some of the just kind of just fun animations and awesome, like the sound of Steve Ritchie as the devil. It was just, I don't know. To me, that brought me back to Black Knight too. Like, just that, like, this guy taunting you is it just gets your adrenaline pumping. Like both the music and the energy of the speech and the whole thing.
Yeah, and I guess I wanted to ask that because it is that moment in time, and I may be overstating this, but maybe without that moment in time, you might not have been working at Stern now.
Yeah, that's true. And there was a moment before that in time that I would not have been working at Stern. Well, maybe I would have been, but the thing that kind of clinched the deal for me here was I worked on a custom Metallica game back in 2000. We started in 2008, March 2008, and in 2009 at Pacific Pinball Expo we showed it, and it was I did that project with Wade Krause and Dirty Donnie. And it was a customization of Earthshaker. We took that, and Wade stripped it down, sanded it, and then Donnie hand painted the thing. I did the electronics too. We used the original game code is intact, but I wired some electronics to it so I could trigger Metallica music and Metallica James Hetfield voiceovers that he recorded. It was a project Donnie had done a bunch of artwork for James Hetfield and the other guys in Metallica, so he already was their favorite guy. And Donnie and Wade did the helicopters custom pin, and when James saw that, he thought it was awesome, so he commissioned this Metallica pinball machine. It's just a one of a kind. It's sitting at James Hetfield's house.
So it was one of one, but he allowed you to take it to like a little pinball expo style thing to show it off to the community. Is that what happens?
Yeah. We delivered to him in about September of that year, which 2009, and he let us show it to the public at that Pacific Pinball Expo that year. And nice. That might be the only time it was at the Metallica recording studio for a while, and then he decided to bring it home. And so,
well, now he has his own Stern pinball machine as well, which is also quite a good pinball machine.
Yeah.
So
he's
got both, right?
Yeah, definitely. Steve Ritchie was at that expo, and he played the game and was pretty impressed with how loud it was, and like he was really impressed with the sound work that I'd done on it, and really in the speaker system and everything. So to me, that like I talked to him before, but after that I went down in his book as a guy that had some pinball talent. And then once they started working on Metallica here, I guess my name started going around, and I contacted Steve at some point. It's like, hey, so how's it going? You got anything open? And he was like, yes, we do. and so he put me toward touch with George, and pretty quickly I flew out here, and then I moved out here, and here I am.
Nice. So the first when you had that call with George, what was the opening? Was it to be a programmer under the guide of, say, like Lonnie D. Ropp, working on Star Trek? Is that the first game you worked on?
Yeah, Star Trek. Yep, Star Trek was the first game I worked on. Yeah, I mean, George told me that he was hiring me to be a game programmer, and that usually starts out with you help out on other people's games, and then eventually you move into a lead position. So in my case, though, I was hoping to move into a lead. I came here to make games, but I also came here to help Stern, help bring us into the LCD era. Pretty quickly after Star Trek, and then I was a contributor on Mustang, and then somewhat on Kiss. I helped with. I'm a big Kiss fan, so I helped with helping the theming and the naming of shots and kind of ideas.
Are you responsible for the cities, Tanio? Is that your work?
Stop it. What was it that you did for Star Trek? If you can go back just a little bit, what do you remember about what you implemented with Star Trek?
Well, I implemented the mode system, and then I implemented several of the modes, like Prime Directive, and that might have been the only one. I kept on going more towards system level things. I also implemented the RGB lighting for the LE and Premium was a big part of my effort. We had like an early version of our node board system in place, and I got it to work with the SAM system, so it was communicating. I mean, Andrew Pines, our engineer, did all the hard engineering work, but I was the driving force to make that help make that happen, and program all the light shows and kind of bring pretty colors into the picture.
Well, that was one of the first Stern pinball machines that had, or was it the first that had like full RGB under the playfields?
It was the first one to have. Yeah, all the lights on the playfield all the feature lights were RGB. Yeah. Before that, Tron and AC/DC Premium LE, they have RGB lights, but this one was the first one to have like a full playfield of them.
Does Tron have RGB LEDs? I don't think. Well,
it's got. I guess it's
got light boards. It's got light boards, but not RGB LEDs. I don't think.
I guess I'm thinking of the light pipes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you go from being a video game developer to doing that? Was that for you an easy step?
No.
What did you have to relearn or learn?
Let's see. The first thing to learn is if you're going from video games to pinball, is the first thing is that in video games it's hard to light things on fire, and in pinball it's not so hard. You can, if you have a bug in your code, it's possible for things to heat up and start smoking. So it's there's that. The other thing is that in video games you have control over things. So you have control over physics. If you have physics in a video game, it's all simulated. So, for example, even the Farsight pinball games, they're a simulation of pinball, but they have helper stuff in there. If you make a shot and it's not quite going to go up a ramp, they'll probably help you go up that ramp by altering the physics a little bit. And in all kinds of games, you kind of have a lot of helper. You can cheat as a programmer to make the game more fun, because it's not fun to lose.
There's no weak
right?
flippers on the pinball arcade. There's no weak flippers at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, in pinball, it's all real, and you're dealing with something you don't have control over at all. You've got this ball knocking around. You have, like you said, you might have something that made your flippers weak. You might have the game might be set up wrong. A switch might be malfunctioning. So it's more like a real-time systems problem rather than just a simulation.
It's interesting you say that, because I think a lot of people, when they think about coders and rules designers, that really it's all about rules. It's about making up modes. It's about light shows. It's about jackpots. People sort of really don't understand that a lot of what you're coding in is the actual mechanical function of the machine, and that in fact you can actually do one line of code that can overheat something, and I won't necessarily say blow it up, because that's probably a bit of an exaggeration, but it can really cause damage to a machine. So when you are part of a software development team, it's not just the surface, here's how the game presents code-wise, it's actually all the underlying system as well, right?
Yep. We do have sort of we have a system in place that as games, as it gets mature with every game and more mature with every game, and we start having more protection in there, so that the game programmer doesn't have to think as much about those issues. But in general, everybody does keep it in mind. I mean, you're balancing all kinds of things. You're balancing heat, because if you leave your magnet on too long, it's going to overheat, and then it takes a lot longer for a magnet to cool down than it does to heat up. You're dealing with power. If you fire all your coils at once, you might draw too much power and reset your board. So there's all sorts of things. Some of the controls are built into our system, and some of them are not. And then the other aspect of it is you just have less control than in a video game. Like in a video game, the player runs across the screen, pushes a button, flips a switch. They accomplish some goal, and then you open up for the next level, and they go to the next level. And games have gotten a lot more complicated than that with open world games, but with pinball, you're more dealing with the balancing of the rules. I'm finding is more like it's more like statistics, and trying to we do things like count switches and look at how frequently something happens, like how frequently a multi-ball starts, and then we tune the rules in order to make sure that the player's having fun, but it's not too easy and not too hard. It's tries to hit our target of, say, like a 3-minute game time if it's a 3-ball game.
How do you guys test that when you're all good at pinball versus the average Joe out there? Obviously not getting Keith Allen and Zach Sharp to test the game. So how do you do that? Do you time their games and then divide it by 10 or something?
The math doesn't work quite like that. So what we do is if the game's not out on the street yet, then we get as many people as possible. We get our sales guys to play. There, I said it.
No offense, guys.
Yeah, yeah, and then and it'll go out, and then we usually put some. Once the game is released, we'll usually get some out in some local arcades, and then we can start collecting real life data. And so in a code update, we'll start addressing if there's any big imbalances. Some of the guys here who've been doing this such a long time, they can tell just by playing what the issues are. And like Keith, for instance, he can play, and he can tell you, like, he can. It seems like the really, really top players can understand how to scale down their skill level to get a good estimate. I'm not up there with Keith and Lyman and Zach Sharp, but so I'm still collecting data.
Okay, so then how do you go from being a part of the software team through Star Trek, Mustang, I'm reading them out, Kiss, Game of Thrones, Ghostbusters, to all of a sudden getting your first lead gig? Well,
it's not terribly sudden. It was going to be originally my intention was the intention was for me to be a game lead a lot earlier. However, I was sidetracked by being a system programmer for a while. Like after Mustang, and I helped out on Walking Dead also as a support programmer. But after that, we were working towards launching the Spike 1 system, and it was evident we needed more software engineering help on it and more attention. And so I started working first on Spike 1, helping get that released and help support the games using it. And then quickly after that, we started doing the Spike 2 system so we could get LCD support.
How many people were working on that? Because I know Lyman said that he was kind of sidetracked a bit with that as well. So was it you, Lyman, and a couple of other people, or just you two together?
The electronics engineer Andrew Pines, who did the design of both of the systems, he had initially a group of people he had hired. Eventually, when we started taking on ownership of the thing, I mean, Andrew's been working with us this whole time, but we took on ownership of the system software. Lyman worked on it a good amount, and then I started helping on that, and I started working on it more so he could focus more on game code. So he could, I mean, he had a lot of catch up to do. He was sidetracked. He was working on Spike 1 stuff and Metallica, and then Spike 1 and Walking Dead. So he really needed to focus on that stuff. And really wanted to, and so he did, and so I took on some of the Spike 1 work. Eventually, we hired another fellow named Tony DeFeo, who became our dedicated system guy for a while, and he helped get our Spike 2 system up and running and launched. So for a while, Lyman's always been involved in system, but try to free up his time so he can actually make games since he's so good at it.
Well, it's funny because it's so important, right, to build the foundation for all the machines that are coming out, now and in the future. But at the same time, it's probably more fun to work on a game than to do the back end stuff that probably doesn't tick all the boxes for you on to have a happy workday, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, truthfully, I enjoy both, and I like to have a balance. But I mean, the system is definitely, to me, it was more difficult engineering problems to solve. And so, I mean, I've always liked challenges like that. But then I'm finding being a lead game programmer has its own set of challenges. Like it's a lot more squishy challenges, like make game fun. It turns out, it's not so easy. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of intuition and.
Do you do more coding, you think, as someone who's the lead, or is it more managing, or maybe both?
Both. I'm doing both. I had a good amount of time when I was pretty much the only programmer on the project, so I had good time. I had a good amount of time. Sort of setting up the whole structure of the game, developing like what direction was going to be headed. In the last kind of the bigger production part of the game, where we have artists generating content that needs to go in, and sounds that are coming in, and voiceover recordings coming in, and then we had more coders helping with that stuff, and so yeah, it got larger near the end, and I was spending a good portion of my time drawing up tasks on index cards and tracking things and things like that. But I still try to keep my hands in as much as I can.
When you were sort of approached to be the lead developer for Deadpool, did it come as a surprise, or was it something that you were sort of really either lobbying for or were in discussions and it was just a matter of time?
Well, it seemed like it was a matter of time. We've been planning for a while for me to be a lead on a project. So it wasn't a surprise. The project came up. Yeah. So, and I had been lobbying to become a lead on a project. The theme itself came along.
I'll sort of broach that, I guess. Have you had to make two versions of code, or was the original code that then got changed with Designer, was a lot of that stuff ported over to what you've done now?
When George started on the game, we pretty much started a new game. So there's not a lot ported over. There's a lot of it's a whole different beast, and I'm very, very happy with the direction that it's gone.
Is that because the layouts were so different that the code wasn't conducive to that, or just wanted to start afresh anyway? Okay. Yeah,
the playfield really has a lot to do with the structure of the game.
Yeah.
And I mean, originally, we thought that maybe we'd be able to save some. I mean, there definitely are pieces. I mean, there's pieces that come from game to game that are common between the games, but and we have a system framework that's shared by all the games, and then we have a game framework that's been maturing, like the way modes work and things like that. But as far as the rules of the game, they're all made directly for this playfield. And a lot of the theme, I mean, Deadpool the thematic stuff, George had some really great ideas for the direction for Deadpool that I liked a lot.
They announced that you guys had script writers. So did they come in more towards the end, or were they there from the start when kind of George took over the project and you decided to start afresh?
They came over, much later in the development. It's usually best to do it after you've made everything. The playfield drives the rules, and then the rules drives everything else. And if we had brought in somebody early on, it would probably not been a good use of time.
So they're designing a story around your rules and not the other way around. You're not designing the rules around their story.
Well, actually, the story was developed. The kind of the structure and everything was of the story and what the modes are going to be were all done in house by myself and George and other team members. And then what we provided to Brian Posehn, who kind of gave the voice to the game, was a full structure. Like, here's all the pieces. Like, at this point, we need the ball sitting in the shooter lane, so we need Deadpool to say things that, to kind of taunt the player. And then here Deadpool's going to be running away from a T-Rex. So what do you say in that situation? What does Deadpool say in that situation? We provided that kind of structure to him, and then he just filled it out completely. The script that we got back, we gave him a kind of a skeleton, and what he gave back was the meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Deadpool rules. So, what is the story? You're Deadpool, you're hanging out in your basement with your friends playing, he's playing his own game, which is quite funny. Yeah. There's Sea Witch in the background. Is it Flight 2000, or what's the other game there in the background next to Colossus?
Yeah, we've got Colossus is back there. Well, so there's a Flight 2000. There's a Quicksilver. The Colossus is actually playing a Quicksilver. Okay, yeah, I could. You only see the top corner of it when he's playing that, because he's quite big. Yeah,
you got some arcades in there as well.
Yeah, we got Frenzy and Berserk, I believe. Yeah, so he's hanging out in the that scene is called the Hell House, and in the comics, the Hell House is a place where mercenaries hang out, and it's kind of like it's a clubhouse, and whenever jobs come in for mercenaries to do, they'll go up and take the job and go out and do it. Yeah. So we turned that into the Hell House arcade, and he's there hanging out with his buddies. Who are Colossus and Wolverine and Dazzler and Domino. And so that's the kind of the base of operations. When you're in the main play, before you start any mode, you're hanging out at the Hell House, and that's where you always come back to. Yeah.
So your goal is to defeat all the villains, and you can get your psychics to help you along the way. Is that where the direction is going in?
Yeah, team up. Yeah, so that's a team up feature. Yeah, we each one of those. There's 4 of those team up characters, and each one has a shot associated with them. So during main play, when you're in the Hell House, you shoot the left orbit. That's where the Dazzler shot, and there's a Dazzler spinner, and on the LE Premium, there's also a disco ball associated with her. So that shot will collect Dazzler as a team up character, and then Wolverine is right up the center spinner. Colossus is on a shot that I call the inner loop, the Colossus inner loop. That it's underneath the left ramp. It's a little bit difficult to see from above, but it's a pretty neat shot. It's right to the left of the scoop. You shoot in there, and it turns back around and hits a target that's kind of back tucked behind by the pop bumpers. And then the right orbit is Domino. So once you shoot each one of those shots a couple times, that'll qualify them to be team up characters. And then when you go into the scoop, that's the Hell House scoop, you go in there and you can start a battle. And if you've collected, say, Wolverine as a team up, then he'll help you in your in the battle. He'll whenever you hit his shot, he'll jump in and do a bunch of damage to whoever you're fighting, and then he also brings an extra ability to the game, to each mode. It's like an advanced way of doing, say, Crank It Up or Away Team, right? It's more points, plus it's adding a different element to the mode as well. Yeah, exactly. And each character adds a different type of ability, or different type of kind of like a power up. Can you qualify your team ups before, like during the mode? So can you start a mode and then
hit a couple of shots associated with the member and they jump in halfway, or does it have to be qualified before you start the mode?
You have to qualify them before you start the mode.
Okay.
And they only come into the battles. So there's 3 battles. They're sort of, those are the fighting game modes, and you're fighting against Juggernaut, Mystique, and Sabretooth. So you can, when you're not playing those modes and you're in main play, you are qualifying your team ups to bring into it.
So what's the difference then between the modes? So those modes you just talked about, the 3, and the time machine ones with the
quests? Yeah,
the quest.
Time machine
Okay.
quests. Yeah. So the way you qualify a battle is you complete the dead targets on the left. And then you go and scoop the lights battle at the scoop. If you to qualify the quest, you hit the right orbit a certain number of times, and that will that shot is also the chimichanga truck shot. Once you hit that shot, it lights spreads chimichangas all over the playfield, which are everything lights up as orange shots. And once you collect enough chimichangas, and I think we initially have, right now we have it set to 4. I think you collect 4 chimichangas, that will qualify a quest. And that chimichanga truck also doubles as the time machine. So once you go in the scoop, you can choose to go on a quest, and if you do that, then you go with on a quest with Cable. He's sending you off into some treacherous situation in the past to collect DNA from one of the prehistoric creatures, either from the Megalodon or from the T-Rex.
Nice.
And those items that you're collecting are leading up towards. You need those in order to get to the Mr. Sinister final wizard mode.
Is it refreshing to kind of have this much material to work on versus, like, you know, I know this is your first lead, but something like Kiss, which is more broad, so there isn't necessarily a story behind Kiss besides just kind of completing the modes. Is it refreshing to have this much content to work with and this much freedom?
Yes, yeah, it is. It's it's a great. It's been a great opportunity. Marvel has been very very willing to let us create new ideas, new stories, new stuff within the realm of their comic book universe. So some of the stuff is it's inspired by their comics. Yeah, they gave us quite a lot of freedom as long as we submitted it to them and they approved it. But it's been great because we can have Deadpool talking directly to the player, and we can, instead of trying to search through a bunch of looking for the right line from a movie or from a TV show.
Just make it up.
Yeah, exactly. So it's and we've done a lot of making up of stuff on this game, and it's been and like everybody, there's been a lot of people involved, a lot of ideas coming from lots of places, and like
has there been any pushback on any of the stuff?
There's been pushback. There has been, but it's all like once we've kind of gotten the zone and figured out what the constraints were. There was quite a lot of freedom within those constraints, and they've been pretty happy with the content that we've been generating.
Was Little Deadpool part of the whole Deadpool thing, or was that something that's introduced here? I'm not that familiar with the comics.
Little Deadpool shows up in the comics as, especially I'm not sure when he started, but around, I know in 2012 is when Brian Posehn started writing for the Deadpool comic, and in those comics he's on like the first page of the comic. There's Little Deadpool, and he's introducing, or he's giving you a synopsis of what happened last time in the last comic. So we glommed onto him just as our centralized character toy. I mean, sort of as we've got Deadpool as the guy who's the smart mouth, and he's a little bit antagonizing. Sometimes he's your buddy, and sometimes he's insulting you. And then Little Deadpool is more of just a friendly cheerleader kind of character, and cute and funny and sometimes raunchy, but not too much. So but in that process of fleshing out his character, we I think Marvel, they picked the voice for him. I mean, it's sort of like the first time that this character has been given a voice in the Marvel universe, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, you touched on the word raunchy before, so the question on a lot of people's lips, obviously because Deadpool has been pushed into the spotlight after the movie. I mean, it existed for a while, and I'm sure in the comic universe it's very popular, but I guess it was only until Ryan Reynolds released his character, and it was one of the first R-rated Marvel movies, I think.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep, and it did really well. And people have been kind of on the forum saying, I hope there's an R-rated mode. Is that something that exists at Stern or got put on the table, or is what's in there and the kind of the general feel that we got from the stream, is that the direction that the machine's going in? Yeah,
the direction the machine's going in is what you saw on the stream. We did discuss that. Marvel really wanted us to make something that was family friendly, and we also wanted to do something that was people can put in their basements and play with their kids, and can reach out to a young audience as well as the older audience. So we pushed the boundaries a bit, but not like Ryan Reynolds did.
Well, I mean, I've never read a Deadpool comic, so I mean, is he that kind of in your face and R-rated in the comics, or is that just something that Ryan Reynolds pulled out for the movie?
If I go back in the comics and look for, the comics can be pretty raunchy, but they're not as far as the movie.
It's probably more tongue-in-cheek stuff than actually talking about his penis shrinking down and masturbating and stuff like that.
Right.
Why? It's part of the movie. I'm just saying.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that and do some research. I mean, they show him like, he's in different situations. He's on the toilet a lot more in the comic book than in the movie, I think. But the movie's a lot raunchier than the comic, but the comic is raunchier than our game.
So where the code is right now and what you do. So game released, I'm curious to know whether the pace at which you need to work is the same post, I guess, release, or whether it actually has to ramp up because it's getting into people's hands. You've now got the time ticking when you have to do enhancements or bug fixes, etc., or is it still just the same pace for you?
Well, the pace getting to the stream was pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
We had a lot of. I mean, I've had a lot of time on this project, but the artists didn't. So we ended up getting a lot of we were prepared for it all with storyboards and script and everything, but it ended up where a lot of content actually generated in the later months of the project. So it's been pretty hectic getting all that stuff in there. So leading up to the stream was hectic, and I'll probably get some sleep this weekend. But I know there's also games probably going to be hitting the streets very soon. So I know I've got a lot more work to do. So it's kind of a balance,
And how far along the code do you think it is?
I've got more to do. I think that's one of those questions that always gets me in trouble if I answer.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Specifically,
but I guess do you have lots of sleepless nights over the next couple of weeks, or can you still just sort of pace yourself?
Well, over the past month or so has been pretty sleepless. I'm hoping to get some sleep, and then we'll see how this. Once it gets out there, usually there's a pretty tumultuous period after the game gets out. Like people find things that we didn't notice. Yeah. I think it's got a good amount in there to keep people entertained for a while, but there's definitely lots left to do. There's lots of things that need to be polished and there's some things that need to be added that are on the plan. So I'll be working on it until it's done, and I'll be working hard.
How long have you been working on it? Like overall, do you think?
It's all a blur at the moment.
It's a leading question to. When you first said, right, they've come and said, right, you're a lead programmer, this is what it's going to look like, to what it is now, do you think you've actually delivered on what you thought you were going to deliver when you first took on the program, or has it had to take quite a few pivots and detours?
Well, I had a lot to learn on this project, so there was lots of ideas that came and went, and we tried lots of things. I'm happy with, the idea of the fighting game aspect of it for the battles. We came up with that pretty early on, and that was a lot more challenging to actually implement than I had assumed. I've worked on many video games in my life, but never made a fighting game from scratch. And this is it's sort of an adaptation of it's not exactly a fighting game. It looks like a fighting game, but it's actually a pinball game that drives these characters. So that was a pretty big. It was more of a challenge than I thought it was going to be. So, but I'm happy with how it turned out. It wasn't. It was a lot more of a challenge along the way than I thought it was going to be. But
is there a video mode in here? And I'm guessing possibly not, because there's no insert for it, and there only seems to be one programmer pushing that at Stern at the moment. But there are video games in in the story, and they're in arcades. So is there a plan for
it's
one?
It's ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
I currently don't plan to put a video mode in.
You're almost simulating one with the Katanarama one, right? It's kind of like a bit like Fruit Ninja, and that's almost like a mini video game, but you're playing it with the ball, right?
You could say that, yeah. And also, I mean, the fighting game is a bit of a video game too. You actually are making shots to make Deadpool attack the character. So I think to me, there's plenty of video. The game doesn't cry out for more video mode content.
I don't like video modes. I'm just asking for the people that are curious out there. So you don't need to convince me.
No. We're fine without them. Thank you.
I'll be happy to put some in if I have some free time. Which
it doesn't sound like you do.
The question that I really want to ask, which I guess you didn't do the hardware for it, but you're programming it. The disco modes. We saw the disco modes on the stream with the Pro, but obviously for the Premium and the LE, it's going to be a little bit different because the disco ball is there and it'll spin around. Where is the light being projected from to hit the disco ball? And are you dimming all the lights? Or what's that going to be like?
Hopefully you guys will be able to see. I'm not sure when we're showing videos of that, but there are some pretty cool spotlights that are just single small LEDs that have. We this first time we're using them, and one of them is hidden behind Wolverine, and the other one's hidden behind Dazzler. They're tiny and they're very directional, and they do a really good job of projecting the light. And then yes, I'm dimming the GI and the playfield lights a bit so you can see the projection. But I'm pretty happy with the effect. It's
hilarious. I can't wait to see what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, if your room isn't like fully bright, you'll see some disco lighting on your walls and stuff coming out of the playfield. It's pretty impressive. I mean, it helps turn all the lights off in the room to really get the full effect. But even with lights on, you can see the disco lighting going around. It's pretty cool. And then on the LE Premium, you also have the left orbit turns into a whole loop shot. On the Pro, there's a passive gate, so you can never make a left loop shot and it goes up into the pop bumpers. But on the LE and Premium, it opens up that gate and then it comes down to there's a ramp that will go down and divert the ball back to the flipper. And so there's like a disco loops mode coming in the Premium LE.
Exclusive.
Yeah, exclusive mode. Yeah, and it's got disco lights. It's got disco music. It's got.
Well, talking about music, you worked with Jerry Thompson on this one, and he seems to have gone all out with the different types of sound. On AC/DC you get AC/DC music, Metallica you get Metallica music. On Deadpool you get everything, right? You get like R&B, hip hop, country and western, disco. What else? What else do you guys have in there?
Yeah.
Dubstep. Yes, dubstep.
Yeah, you got we got rock. Yeah, we got all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's
so. What plays when you first go up to the game and you press start? Is it a random track that's playing, or?
We have. Let's see. Well, we've got a couple things that will play randomly selected when you're just sitting in the shooter groove, and then once you plunge, it goes into. There's a set of different songs that play during main play, and we have a lot to choose from thanks to Jerry. You'll hear different songs during main play, and then each battle has its own song. Each quest has its own song. The disco modes have several different disco songs. So we and then also the little Deadpool bash toy has music associated with him.
Is he the dubstep one? Because when you hit Deadpool, that's when it starts going doof doof doof, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. He's one of the dubstep ones. There's some lighter dubstep that happens like in just the main play. You'll get some dubstep every once in a while. But yeah,
how do you balance out? Have you done that yet? Have you balanced out? Because I didn't watch the entire stream. Little Deadpool multi-ball, because George Gomez said he wanted to make a really accessible multi-ball. Hit the targets down, hit the bash toy, the targets go up, and then hit any of the three targets, and you're in a two ball multi-ball. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. Yeah, that's accurate for the first time.
Do you have to get all three targets down, or can you hit, say, the middle one and then squeeze a shot through?
Oh yeah, you can squeeze a shot through to you can.
Okay.
Yeah, we and I'm planning on putting right now. You get the same amount of points no matter how you do it, but I'm planning on making it so that it's if you can get the bash toy target with just one target down, you'll get a lot more points.
Oh wow, that's cool. It's almost like the anti. Like I know Simpsons had that kind of rule where on the first itchy and scratchy, you can kind of squeeze a ball in there and it'll give it to you. But then after that, if you manage to get into the saucer without getting all, you left one target up, it'll kick the ball out and reject it, and you have to start again. So it's almost the opposite of that, because it would require more skill to get it in there and hit that target, right? With the targets still standing up.
Yeah, it won't be a requirement, but yeah, you'll have the opportunity to use skill to get a lot more points. Definitely. Right now, I'm gonna need to rebalance a little bit because the second time is still probably too easy to get him. So probably make some changes to that rule so that he right now. I think Jack Danger was exploiting him a little bit on the stream. So
he got the tap on the shoulder.
Yeah, he was told to drain his balls because I think he was going to uncover some secret stuff.
No comment.
I just assumed that he was getting close to maybe something that wasn't either quite coded in or wasn't quite functional. That was just my assumption.
Well, it could also be they don't want to show it because it's so cool and there needs to be mystery, Marty.
Yeah, fair enough.
Can't assume.
Okay.
So what are the rules, of Little Deadpool? Because, I saw people building up a super jackpot, but I'm not sure if I saw anyone cash it in. So what's the objective of the Little Deadpool multi-ball?
You pretty much nailed it. So, there's currently there's 3 stages to it. First, you hit them several times. The second one is you build up a jackpot by hitting him that you can collect on the ramps. And then the third one's still under construction, which is going to be spinner related. Okay,
cool. And
But,
Ninja Multi-Ball, you're every time you hit the pop bumpers, I think a ninja will come down, and then you hit a shot to defeat the ninja, and that adds to your Ninja Multi-Ball jackpots. So then once you're in Ninja Multi-Ball, what are the rules for that? You're just hitting certain shots to get jackpots, and
yeah, in Ninja Multi-Ball, yeah, exactly. So the pop bumpers during main play are ninja pops, and so you get past a certain number of pop hits, and ninjas spawn, and they're blue shots. And once you hit those, then you're collecting ninjas, and you're building up your ninja jackpot, as you said. All the shots are lit to start, and they're all jackpots except for the right ramp shot, the crossover, the right shot katana that crosses over to that's a super jackpot shot. So you can shoot that at any time, but the more jackpots you collect, the bigger that super jackpot's going to be.
Yeah. So you've got 2 different skill shots. You got the skill shot where you plunge all the way around and you try and hit the katana ramp. But you've also got the kind of the hands-free skill shot up the top, where you I think you choose which lane you want and you plunge, and you can't alter. You can't just move the shot around because that'd be too easy. Kind of like Ghostbusters, and we also saw it on Total Nuclear Annihilation. So I didn't see on the stream. What's the payoff for that? Since there's 4 lanes, probably pretty hard to hit that shot. What does that start?
It's a points award currently, so
Okay.
It's yeah.
Okay.
I heard currently it's points, but
Yeah.
Triple super jackpot. The Scolari bars will pop up. The boom button. Some people don't like buttons on pinball machines. I like them because it adds a different element to the game. And right now, you spot the inlanes in the middle. Down the bottom to spell boom. That lights your boom button. Boom will spot you a shot when you're in a mode. Is that right?
Boom button. So the rule is you complete the bottom lanes, which are spelled boom. Each time you do that, you collect a bomb, and that lights the boom button. And so the first 3 times you collect it, you get a small bomb. But if you hold off and you get 4 of them, then you get a super bomb. If you're if you hit the boom button with just one of the smaller bombs, then you get a single shot. You get a signal award, the most valuable thing on the playfield.
Please tell me the super bomb just does everything. Please tell me that's where you're going with this.
That is where I'm going. Yes.
Yes.
Super bomb does everything. Yeah.
That's so good.
We're We're balancing it some. Initially, it was giving you the small bomb could give you a super jackpot in Ninja Multi-Ball, which was just way too powerful. So we're doing some balancing and trickery and stuff. But yeah, the super bomb will give you everything. Yes.
That puts a smile to my face. That's really cool. That's the risk reward, right? Do you use the bombs that you currently have, or do you save it to get a bigger payoff? That's cool. Yeah. Okay, the multiplier. There's 2x, 3x, 4x, and 5x. From my understanding, the only way to get this is to hit that stand-up target and get it to go up the ninja ramp. Am I right in saying that? Yeah,
that's called the snicked target.
Okay.
Yeah, and you make a snick shot, and that'll increase your playfield multiplier.
And is that available during like multi-ball and everything, or is that locked into normal mode play?
Still working that out.
Yeah.
But right now it's available all the time. Yep.
Okay. So, like, I mean, you talked about before about kind of like video games versus pinball and statistics and stuff. So, I mean, like to program that in, you have to set a timer from one switch hit to another. And, it can't be like 3 seconds or something. It has to be like within a certain amount of milliseconds. That means that you've made that shot because there's no camera. The pinball doesn't know except for the timing of the shot, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. We put a timer. You hit that target and then you set a timer going for half a second or so. And then you see there's a ramp opto right up the ramp. So that if you hit that within that time period, then you've made that shot.
Made the shot. Yeah. Okay. Yep. And
it's a pretty cool shot too. Like it doesn't seem like it's gonna. It's a makeable shot, which is pretty cool. It's not easy, but
well, before the stream, I thought it was just maybe a payoff for if that shot rejected, because it might look like a hard shot, it would kind of hit that and award you something. I didn't think of it as a bankable shot. There's also X's on each one of the lanes. I just noticed that now. I'm not sure if that was explained on the stream. I might have missed it. Are they shot multipliers for certain shots, or?
No, they're actually those are weapon targets. So they're not really they're X shaped, but they're not X's. They're not the traditional shot multipliers.
Okay, that makes sense.
So they're
little swords, aren't they?
So those are weapon shots, and they work as a combo type rule. In that you hit one shot, and then the comboable weapon lights will light up, and then you hit those. And once you hit one of them that's lit, your weapon jackpot gets lit at the scoop. So you can go collect that weapon jackpot. But the more of those combo shots that you make, the bigger your jackpot's going to be. So that's another.
Is that kind of like end of the line on Tron, where you've got the jackpot that kind of builds up at the scoop, and it kind of stays there all the time. There's no timer or anything at the scoop. It's just kind of hitting jackpots and okay.
Yeah. The jackpot doesn't. Yeah, it's there for you to collect. It doesn't go away. Maybe it goes away after you drain the ball. That's TBD.
There's a lot of rules here. Tanio. There's.
And for what you've seen with people playing it now, are people playing the game and going through the game with its rules in the way that you set out, or are you being surprised by how people are playing it?
We didn't really plan out a certain order or anything. We set it up more like there's different ways to play it or different things to focus on. Like if you can focus on going through battles and going up to completing the battles and then doing Star and Multi-Ball, or you can focus on locking balls for Ninja Multi-Ball, or you can focus on shooting Dazzler to start Disco Multi-Ball. So there's different kind of like mini modes around the playfield associated with different shots, and then there's also modes that are qualify the mode, go in the scoop. So the goal is to have it so people can pick which directions they want to go, and they have lots of kind of strategic choices to make, or some amount of strategic choices to make to maximize their points, but also that a casual player can walk up to it and get something cool out of it. And that's what the little Deadpool bash toy is there for casual players to be able to get a multi-ball and have something fun to interact with. And then the challenge there is also making that something really cool for pro players too. And so
Is there any strategy? You talk about, strategy with the modes. So is there, besides, fighting a different battle, is there any differentiation? Like, would I choose to fight Juggernaut over Sabretooth? Is there an advantage for that? Are shots easier or harder?
Yeah, they will have. Right now, the way it's balanced, I'd say Mystique's the hardest, and Juggernaut is the next hardest, and then Sabretooth is currently the easiest one to complete. I'm shooting to have each one have a different flavor to it. Like in Sabretooth, you're hitting the 2 orbit shots and the center spinner shot a lot. Juggernaut, there's several phases. You start out by hitting the drop targets on the Deadpool targets to get them into a stun state, and then you're hitting shots. And then Mystique, it's more a different set of shots. But as far as point strategy, that's kind of stuff is sort of still under development. But yeah, the goal is to have it have strategic choices like what team up characters you want to bring into each mode, and then what order you play it in, and whether you decide to play battles or you decide to play multi-balls and that kind of stuff.
Well, it's like you said, it's a balancing act after the game comes out, because you don't know what, you're a decent pinball player, but you're not Keith Owen, you're not Jack Danger, so you have to watch them and balance it out.
And would you also be getting a lot of feedback now that Stern's got so many great players as part of the team? Are you getting sort of feedback from them around points and scoring?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, actually, yeah. Well, Tim Sexton recently joined, and he's a really good player, and he's been helping. He's been programming on the game and helping with rules quite a bit. So we've got him, and then Keith's been playing, and Mike Vinicor is our primary play tester, and Zach. So they all give feedback and they all give suggestions. So I mean, I would say that I'm not the strongest rules guy in the house for sure, and so I've definitely tapped the vast amount of talent that we have in this house, in this place.
You have to put both hats on, right? You have to put the programming hat on, but also Mr. Manager.
There's lots of hats to wear. Yeah, I mean, we've got. I mean, this project since we wrote a pretty large script. And we have created a bunch of art assets that were pretty original. So it was a pretty large project. Lots of people contributed to it. So yeah, I've been wearing a lot of hats, and I've also been relying on lots of a lot of the other talented people here.
All right. So since you're the lead on this, does that mean that you're not involved with any other project while that's going on? Because you said you worked on KISS, and when we get the Stern Union updates, it says yes, KISS code is coming, and this and that. Do you ever take a break from Deadpool to work on little code updates here and there, or is that more for other people that aren't the lead on the new project?
Yeah, when you have a game coming to hit the line and hit the streets and stuff, yeah, my focus is completely on Deadpool, and it has been for this whole year and a little bit longer. Each lead takes turn of being in the hot seat, and then while I'm doing this, other people have had time to work on code updates, and we're in a good place now where we have a really pretty full staff of software engineers, which we were playing catch up for a while there, and now we're getting pretty far along. At the same time we were playing catch up on games, we're also developing these new systems, which it's really hard.
That's another thing I wanted to ask you about. I mean, like Spike 1, Spike 2, the LCD. Is there, you worked at Steam, the video games is on a different level than pinball, and pinball doesn't necessarily need to be anywhere near that level because it's more a mechanical thing. But, do you see the social side of video games right now with people playing, Minecraft and well, any game? I don't, there's hardly any single player games. Do you see pinball as a platform that, with the technology that you have now with the Spike system, online leaderboards and things like that, do you see that in the realm of possibility at Stern, or is that still not in the picture because of, the catch up you've had to do with getting code done on the other machines and LCD, etc.?
Yeah, I don't know if I can talk about what we have planned for the future, but we have big plans for the future.
My question was awesome. 10 times longer than your answer.
Yeah, I mean, getting to the point where we have an LCD screen and a whole tool set, and where we can play video and play, create content and different packages like Flash and animation tools and things, and then choreograph it all on the screen. It's taken a lot of effort to get to this point. And not only, unlike the video game industry, we not only developed like sort of our own engine for doing this stuff, but also we developed the hardware for doing it, which is a little bit more like, it's a little bit more like in the video game world, that'd be Sony and Nintendo and Microsoft developing a new game system. Yeah. So it's been a lot of work.
Yeah. But
it's been pretty cool. I mean, I'm really happy with how our system has come out and with how our games are coming out. It's I feel like we have a really good momentum now.
That's the word on the street, man. So everyone's saying Stern's kind of finally hit their stride, and I know it sounds horrible, but the game that you were the lead on was meant to be the game after Iron Maiden. And I know it sounds negative, but it's not that anymore. It has its own identity.
Yeah.
The rules, to me anyway, seem pretty unique. It's not a copy and paste and modify of any other game that I've ever seen. So unique layout, amazing art. The code has a good foundation, and everyone's been, it's the thing that happens when the first Deadpool stream comes up. People message each other, "Oh, hey, just watch the Deadflip stream. What did you think?" And I don't think it's ever going to be at the stage where, yes, the code's 100% complete, but the foundation of the game, in my opinion, is solid, and it's a solid foundation for you to build on. And I guess from now on in, you just have to keep on polishing until you're satisfied with the end result, right?
But what's there is great already, and it looked like a lot of fun. It was very entertaining, and there's a lot in there. There's actually a lot in there already.
Is there a name for the boom? Is it the super boom? Is that like, what's the boom called? The 4X boom, whatever it's called.
That's a good.
Ultra boom.
I don't know. It's called Ultra Boom. Yeah.
Done.
Boom Apocalypse.
Boom Apocalypse.
Quadra Boom. Quadra. Yeah, actually, I hadn't thought of that yet.
Quad assembly boom. No.
Octoboom.
Big boom. That's a good question. I hadn't thought of that yet. We've been calling it the Super Bomb, but the Super Boom. But I kind of like Mega Ultra.
Bring up Nolan North and say, "Can you please say this boom?" And
exactly. Yeah. We'll probably. Yeah, we're keeping a list of those things.
Well, that's for coming on the show. Unless you have another story to tell us about all the hidden gems that are coming in the Deadpool machine. We thank you for coming on. As I said, it's the first time you've ever been on a podcast, a pinball podcast, I believe. So thank you for sharing your story, and congratulations for what we've seen so far, and good luck finishing up. Yes.
Yeah, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you very much. It's really good to be here. I mean, I was going through, in preparation for this, I was going through like, when was it I started wanting to make a pinball machine? It was 2008. So it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
And now, making pinball, at that time, it seemed like it was going to be a lot easier, but
well, a lot of people do. These are the kinds of conversations that we have all the time with people, where they think it's actually easier than it is. And I don't think that's black and white, and they think, oh geez, that's really easy. But I don't think there really is appreciation, and that's why I was bringing up that part before. When you're doing code, you're actually talking about the mechanics of the machine and keeping it running safe as well. The complexity of making these things is potentially lost on us, because we just want to make sure that it shoots good, it sounds good, and it's got rewarding rules, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, last question. I know I've already thanked you and everything, but how many balls does Deadpool have in the trough?
Oh, in the trough, 6.
Thanks. It's like almost like the Stern standard now, right? 6 balls in there just for that's cool.
Yeah.
When I watch the stream, it's such a frantic game. Like there's just so much going on and so many sounds all at once. Kind of like Iron Maiden. And it took me a while playing Iron Maiden to really kind of hone in what's going on, because I can usually tell what's going on in a pinball machine from the sounds. But there's so many kind of new sounds, and using like the firepower sounds and like a retro-esque sounds. So Was that from your direction that you wanted it to go in, or is that Jerry or George? Like who pulled the string on that one?
Firepower is my personal favorite game. And the sounds from the Williams games of that era are just, they're kind of embedded in my brain. They make me happy when I hear them. But George really kind of drove it. I don't know, maybe it was a combination of George and I, but really George was like, yeah, we got to have 80 sounds in this game. And I was like, of course we do. Yeah, let's totally do that. And like, let's put 80s games in there. Like, and then some of it just kind of blossomed. A lot of people on our team, like Chuck Ernst, who's our animation director, was, he's totally into retro games too. And then we have like some of the artists who are, young whippersnappers. They're into, like, the kids these days are drawing pixel art and stuff. It's just so it just everybody was excited about it. So it just kind of grew out of a team thing. It's been a lot of fun, man. And I want to give a shout out to Tim Sexton. He's really did put a lot of energy into this game too. There's lots of great people on this project. So it's
he also did a great job on the stream introducing the pinball machine and going through the rules. That was actually it was the first time I went, hey, Timballs, that's you. You're actually now out there. It was really cool.
Yeah, he did a great job. He's good at that stuff. I'm generally I stutter a lot or whatever, but Tim's good. Cool, he's brought a lot of cool energy to the whole company too. It's been really neat, like with Keith coming in and Zach Sharp and and Tim and some of the new artists and stuff like that. It's neat to see a mixture of new folks and older folks and people in the middle and stuff. It's a really exciting place to be, I gotta say, and I'm proud to be part of it.
Awesome.
I really am. I mean,
No, every certain employee says it, and that it must be true. I don't think you guys are saying it just to suck up to your employees. Like when Jerry Thompson was on, he was just saying like he really enjoys his job because people are passionate, and it's very easy for someone to say that Stern, or a different company is more passionate than Stern because they're a smaller team, but that doesn't really hold true, right? I mean, you guys are just as passionate as everyone else because you guys are producing pinball machines, right? And you're not working a 9-to-5 job and clocking out and going out with your mates. You're probably putting in like crazy hours at the moment because this is your baby, right? Yeah,
exactly. I also want to say thanks to Steve Ritchie. He's the one that, I'm probably here because of him, I guess, because it's Black Knight, and then because we became friends, and then he recommended me. Remember, people have said things like, I've heard people say like, never meet your heroes, and I'll tell you, I'm happy to have met my hero, Steve Ritchie. Man, he is a very passionate man about pinball, and he's a lot of fun to work with. He's hilarious. He's quite a force of nature, man. So it's really exciting to work with him and with George Gomez and with all the folks here.
Awesome. All right, Tanio.
Thank you so much for coming on, man.
Yeah. Next game you lead on, open invitation to come on the show.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, mate. Have fun.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
So there we go, Ryan. That was Tanio Klyce.
It just doesn't sound the same, Martin, if you don't say what did we learn.
What did we learn, Ryan?
He's a cool guy.
He is a really cool guy.
Yeah, he's been waiting a long time to do this, so I hope he can deliver on what his vision of the pinball machine is going to be. So I enjoyed watching the stream. I haven't watched it from start to finish. I've watched some little bits. Man, did you notice that like it's an increasingly common thing that they all wear really cool T-shirts with like kind of like hidden funny messages. Have you noticed that, Marty?
There was a lot of T-shirts. There was a lot of people there and a lot of T-shirts.
So, there was Josh Sharp with the Stern Pro circuit. There was some guy, sorry, I don't know his name, with the straight down the middle T-shirt. Pretty easy to know that, Josh is a fan of Stern Pro circuit. Straight down the middle guys is a fan of Greg and Zach.
Yep.
What else can we deduce from these shirts?
Well, Jack Danger was wearing a Deadpool costume.
Yeah. I think he wanted to show off his pecs, and his package down below was skin tight clothes.
That's right, absolutely.
Yep. And there was a guy wearing a Rick and Morty T-shirt, Marty. What do you think that means?
Well, it means Rick and Morty confirmed.
Okay.
For sure.
Yep. For sure. Yep. But even they got Jack Dangerous dressed up as Deadpool, but they also got like a full-on ninja to come as well. I'm not sure who that guy was. I'm sorry, but there was a ninja there working for Stern. I think he's a full-time there. Yep.
So, Tanio, Keith, and Tim, they were in Deadpool t-shirts and hats.
Yeah. I mean, they're fans, obviously. Yeah.
And Zombie Yeti had a Cuphead t-shirt, was it?
Yeah, I think that means that Stern's going to announce soon a new collaboration with Microsoft Studios, and they're going to make it insanely hard and impossible to beat Pinball Machine. Yeah.
That sounds like Cuphead, right?
Yeah. Mike Vinicor was wearing a Cobra t-shirt. I don't think it was Cobra Kai, but what can we deduce from that, money?
That they've got a Karate Kid.
Yep. Cobra Kai. Karate Kid's 1980s. Cobra Kai is the new in thing. So Cobra Kai confirmed. And one of the most noticeable ones, Marty, that kind of stood out was there's a guy there, Chuck, was wearing a Godzilla t-shirt, Marty. What do you think that might mean, Marty?
Well, it means that they are maybe, saying loud, saying it proud. They've got the Godzilla license and it's coming out.
Yeah, Godzilla confirmed. Yeah.
I thought the one that was really interesting was Zach Sharp with a one of the Golden Girls, B. Arthur, on his shirt. So if that's not a confirmation,
yeah, I've heard kind of rumors of this kind of going around for a while. That it might be a joke, but I guess this just really confirms that Zach Sharp is massively into gilfs. He's just that's his thing, man. Don't look at his computer. Zach Sharp is into gilfs.
Yep, there it is. Confirmed. That t-shirt alone.
So I look forward to the next stream, and we'll run this is our new segment. Just try and figure out what all these Stern employees mean with the t-shirts that they're wearing.
Absolutely. So anyway, the stream itself, I probably watched about an hour and a half of it.
Yep.
That was probably enough just to watch one ball of Jack Dangers before he was told to sort of.
It's so weird. Is it a quick game or is it a hard game? Because the people that weren't very good at pinball, their game was over like instantly. Like I don't think anyone really had like long balls that I tuned in at one moment and the ball times were like 10. Like as soon as the ball save was gone, the ball had drained, and I was on the phone already to AMD, and I was like, "I'll order 10, please. I'm going to be a millionaire." And then everyone started playing really good. So I'm confused as to where it's a long play.
It was really funny because when the stream first started, you sent me a message saying, "Oh my god, this machine's really tough," and then like I think 15 minutes later it was like, "Oh wait, maybe not." Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess balancing out with the outlanes and software and stuff like that, but there's there's a ridiculously easy multi-ball to get into.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm sure they'll nerf the scoring of that because that's literally just or maybe you have to go into it twice or something. I don't know. People were getting into it before the ball save was up. So yeah, no, it looks good. It looks chaotic.
It does. There's a lot.
It reminds me of Iron Maiden a little bit in the sense that there's so many sounds going on. You probably need a lot of games to kind of hone your ear into what's actually going on sound wise. But
yeah.
It looks fun.
Look, my takeaway from it was that yes, it looks fun, but it's very busy. It's very packed. There's a lot of sounds coming at you. The ball was really fast. Obviously, there's lights. There's art. There is just a lot going on at once.
I think that the layout is good in the sense that it didn't seem like there was many kind of frustrating shots. Like when people miss shots, it's still kind of like the ball didn't do nothing and come back. It kind of like still hit something else or still went through some kind of like orbit and or spinner. That shot that we were kind of worried about didn't seem to have much issues. And obviously there's two ways of getting up there, right? So we talked about it with Tanio on in the podcast interview. You can hit that kind of like that 45-degree angle target, and it will go up that ramp. So it's a hard shot, but yeah. I mean, George Gomez did say the machine likes to get jacked up, and it's likes to be a fast player, and this and that. I'm not sure how much they modified that machine and what angle it was at, but it was pretty damn fast money.
Yeah, it was really fast. Particularly that left ramp. When that was absolutely nailed, bang, it was back to the left flipper already.
Yeah. It almost felt like one of those 180-degree ramps, like the one we were playing yesterday on Pirates of the Caribbean, but it wasn't. Yeah. I guess one little bit of criticism of something that I don't care about at all is the kind of the animations on the screen. They introduced, I think, like 6 people on art, and after kind of watching the animations, you could tell it was 6 different people because they were very different. You know, like it wasn't this one complete package like like say you're looking at Dialed In or any almost.
No, I know what you mean, but I don't think it was meant to be. I think they intentionally set out to have sort of different styles coming through on the LCD.
Yes. I don't expect everything to be pixel art, but I'm talking about, say, like scores, like a score flashing up on the screen for Little Deadpool, and Little Deadpool has like different animation, different. I don't know. You want something.
No, I know what you mean. It has
consistent all the way
style
through, right?
Yeah, I get what you mean, but I actually. Of all of it, the thing I was actually most impressed was the animations on the screen. So we're obviously looking at different things with different lenses, but no, I actually really liked that. I liked the call-outs. I liked the gameplay. I actually liked the rules. So as we sort of said at the tail end of the interview, Tim Sexton introduced the game and took the glass off and went through all the rules. That was very cool. I thought there was a lot going on there. And back to, I guess, what we've been saying in the last couple of weeks. Well, me in particular, I've been saying the last couple of weeks is that, you know, we thought that this might have been a bit of a filler title. It's not. It's got everything in it.
Yeah. It's got the retro kind of like the bonus countdown as well.
Yeah.
Even kind of more than Iron Maiden. And I did laugh out loud, I think, twice at the call-outs. One was when someone said something like, who do you think you are, Keith Allen? I'm not sure if that was a jackpot call out or what it was. And the other one was the super jackpot call out where he said, oh, it's just another jackpot. Oh, wait, no, it's a super jackpot. That made me laugh. And as I said, humor in pinball, to make people laugh kind of over and over and over again. There's no way of knowing. Well, there's no way of knowing that. So I laughed the first time. I'm not sure if I'll laugh the 100th time I hear it, but I'm not saying that in a bad way.
No. Well, I think if ongoing you can get a smile, then you've done your job.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've done enough. Now we've got to play the thing, and you know,
in 2 months' time.
I was going to say because I'm not buying one, but one thing we actually never mentioned, but really I actually got my Iron Maiden home after Deadpool was announced, so that's how long it took for me to actually get my Iron Maiden.
Wow, I mean that includes 3 weeks of you being overseas.
3 weeks, yeah, but yeah, they do take a while to get here.
If only we could fly one down, Marty. If only
we could fly them. Not going to happen though, Ryan. As hard as you may try. I've got some news for you.
Yeah,
I've got an update on my Kickstarter.
Which one, Marty? Which Kickstarter are we talking about today?
I've only got 3 on the go. Two with a chance of actually being fulfilled. Really, 1.
Is this that book which will solve all of your coffee needs?
Correct. Correct. Like, you know what? In the morning when I wake up and I brew the most amazing coffee. It is just the aroma, and I sit down to drink my coffee, and that first sip, just empty. It just feels empty because I just don't have a coffee book worthy of a great coffee.
And how long have you felt this empty feeling, Marty? About a year and a half? How long's it been?
I honestly can't remember how long it's been.
So dumb.
I know. So anyway, so we got an update. Here's what the update said. There has been a lot going on with keeping the ball alive in the last month. First, we're hiring an intern to help us do some Photoshop work to help speed up the process. We now have a layout with all chapters and games, and we are tweaking the flow of the graphic design. There's still a lot of work to do, but we feel good about the progress that's been made.
It's funny that people in pinball have lost so much money that no one gives a shit about it. How much was it? About $100 the book, or depends on which version you got, right?
Yeah, I didn't get the Povo version. So I honestly cannot remember.
You got the Super LE with the Zombie Yeti art.
Yeah, I think so. Something like that.
That's his shit art as well. That was him 2 years ago, and he's like he improves his work all the time. So like, wow, I wonder if he's going to redraw.
Yep.
That.
Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I did. I did get the limited edition book plus Zombie Yeti.
Yes.
Signed and numbered print design just for the project. It was $225.
Cool.
Yeah. Dumb.
Wait, sorry, I zoned out for a second. How much did you say? $225?
Correct.
Fuck me, Marty.
But
you could just get some guy in the US to just scan the pages for you. It'd be free, Marty.
I know. I could just go round to. I could have just taken all the photos at all the different events that I've been to and made my own book.
Yeah.
But
you know who doesn't screw you around? Todd Tuckey. He's got some books coming out, Marty.
Yeah, he does.
Yes. Todd Tuckey.
Yep. He's the man.
He's the man.
Anyway, so there's more, all that kind of stuff, but, they say, thank you for your patience. I know it's been difficult, but good things are happening.
Should we make a bet on when you think you're going to get it?
I don't think it's going to be this year.
Okay. Would you just put a date on it, and then I'll put a date on it. I'll price is right you.
Okay.
And
I'm going to say April 13.
2008. The 13th of April, 2019.
19. Yep.
Okay. I will say the 20th of August, 2019.
Okay.
1 year.
Right.
They haven't even fucking started, Money.
Well,
Greg Frez won't even take pictures of all the art trinkets that he has. That was part of the letter as well, right?
Yeah, something like that.
This is super interesting stuff, mate. Let's go on to the next.
Anyway,
well,
so the next piece of news is about Jersey Jack. What's happened in the world of Jersey Jack?
Jack has almost broken his hip doing failing at cartwheels.
Three attempts at a cartwell, and
it's going to happen one day. He's going to be 70 years old. When they release their 20th game or something, it's just going to do it.
It was funny. It was because I couldn't really hear it, but I kind of felt like if you had overdubbed the sound of bone cracking, it would have fit. and then when he went to do the third one, I'm like, oh no, don't do it. You're going to do yourself an injury. Please don't. So what is so significant about the Jack Wanari cartwheel, Ryan?
Yeah, it means that they're shipping games. So Pirates of the Caribbean, the JJP version.
Yes.
We haven't played it enough to call it the good version and, Stern the shit version. But I'm pretty sure in due time it'll be the good version. It's now shipping. So
Fantastic.
Hooray to the people that stuck to their pre-orders and are getting it. I have no idea when the Australian versions are coming down. I don't have any friends that are getting one, Marty. So I don't know when I'm going to get to play this game.
Yeah, I don't know either, but we'll find out soon enough, I'm sure.
Yep.
And some other news, Ryan, some very special news.
Yep, I'm listed now in the pinball credits of a pinball machine. But,
are you though?
Well, I am, but my name is striked out, Marty. But I'm still there. My name is still there.
So we mentioned a couple of weeks ago that there was going to be an update for Houdini coming out, and we said it was going to completely change the game and make it a much more enjoyable experience. Why was that, Ryan?
Well, there's an English guy in the Houdini pinball machine who talks to you, and there's also an Aussie guy, except they got the English guy to do both the Aussie and English accents, but this guy didn't know how to do the Aussie accents because he's not Australian. Right. So, they wanted a better world on the glass sound effects. So who did they contact? The only Aussies they knew.
That's right. So there are call-outs now in Houdini from, let's call it, the Head2Head Pinball crew. But really, it's
0%, 0% Ryan, 100% mine. It's a cocktail. It's a cocktail. It's called the Head2Head crew. You add 0% Ryan, 100% Martin, and you get good call-outs. And the joke is that they wanted us both to kind of, try out kind of thing. And you did yours first, Marty. I said, yep. That's it. Like, you nailed it, Marty. Like, I'm not going to bother. And you're like, no, come on. Do it, mate. Do it, Ryan. Do it. Fucking sat there for 2 hours doing all the call-outs. I'm like, yeah, we're going to go with Marty. And I'm like, fuck. Hey, at least my name is struck out on the credits. I'll take that as a win. Hey, people want to be immortalized in pinball machines forever, Marty.
Right.
You've done it already.
And you know what? And we've actually had so Dr. Pin from Mrs. Pin's Pinball Podcast fame was playing it over the weekend, and so we didn't actually even know that it had been released. And he messaged us and said, "It's absolutely your voice, unmistakable," and then sent us through a clip. So very funny. I am in a pinball machine. It's hilarious.
How does it feel, Marty? Is everyone just you talked about all the autographs you signed at Pinburg.
I'm just walking down the street now, having to just push people away. They're all coming up to me going, wanting to take selfies with me, going, "Oh my God, aren't you the guy in Houdini?"
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's a bit of fun. So, why not?
So, is your pre-order down for Houdini?
I'm so tempted. I am so tempted. If I wasn't having to buy a whole crapload of AV gear, I would be in on it.
Or if you didn't have all your money tied up in stupid Kickstarter. And other dumb things.
You make a valid point. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So
it's on Newsweek. Zombie Yeti was also on This Week in Pinball's podcast. I think that's what it's called.
Yep.
He did a interview with Jeff, one of the Jeffs. I think he's ranked.
Oh, there's too many Jeffs.
Yeah, 3 out of 5, I think. I can't remember which rank he's currently at, but he's climbing. Yep, go listen to that interview. Zombie Yeti talks about the process of doing Deadpool art, and I'm a bit upset that Zombie Yeti went on the show because we gave the list of all the people we wanted to get on the show, Marty, and George Gomez has already done an interview with someone else, Zombie Yeti. So if we mentioned you on the list, please hold off for us, including Tim Sexton and his many girlfriends. Okay. And John Popperdin, come on. Anyway.
What else? So, there's been some tournaments announced this week, Ryan.
Okay.
So, we mentioned a few weeks ago that Flip Out 2018. It's back on. So, this is the event in Melbourne where I think we had probably about 40 machines last year, and Jersey Jack came out. Well, he's coming back out again.
Sweet.
This time, I think it's December 1st and 2nd.
Yeah, people in the US don't laugh at us saying 40 machines. That's a big effort for us. Okay,
for an event that's huge, right? So,
that's like their worst event is like 100 machines. But this, okay, we're growing. Okay, yeah. We're working on it. They're with us.
That's right. They literally trip over and 10 pinball machines fall out of their pocket. Right? Yeah, that's how plentiful it is out there. So anyway, so Jersey Jack's coming out again. Obviously, we're going to talk. We'll have production. Pirates of the Caribbean's there. But I'm going to be running tournaments there.
Yes. What kind of tournament are you going to do, Manny?
I'm going to do a pump and dump.
Okay. I don't know why there's such an emphasis on the P's, but...
I just thought I'd accentuate them. So
has there been a pump and dump in Australia before?
There's actually been a couple. So the first one that I ever went in was actually at Australia's first and only Pinball Expo.
Yes, that was okay. Yes, that was a pump and dump.
That was a pump and dump. How long ago was that? Was that 4 years ago?
I was in that tournament too, Marty.
Were you?
Yes, go and look at your IFPA results. That was it was free entry. So I went and I played, and I was so confused because it was Circus Voltaire was in there, and I was like, I never play Circus Voltaire and not get like at least like 40, 50 million, and I didn't understand the whole concept of like adjusting out lanes, and I was extreme noob back then.
Okay, well, and so when I went to Canberra for the ACT Pinball Championships, that was also a pump and dump as well, or herb style.
Yep.
And so I'm trying to take a bit of the California flavour and bring it back here. So it really is the in-disc format. So as many.
Are you going to be using Carl D'Angelo's Never Drain software?
Well, I've got to sort of reach out to him and ask him. But
just ask him now. He listens.
Yeah, Carl, can I use your software, mate? So, the only thing is, like, what if I'm in the middle of the day and something goes wrong and it's like 4:00 in the morning?
Carl D'Angelo will stay up for you. I'm pretty sure 24-hour support comes free with his free software.
Well, you know what? I did watch the Buffalo Pinball Summer Open and they were using the software and there was a bit of a glitch, they just rang him up and said, hey, and within 5 seconds it was all fixed. That's how good he is.
Oh, okay. So it does need... Well, just make sure the finals is kind of like on at a certain time that you can...
I'll have to have backups. But the really good thing about his software is that it manages registration, payment, entries, scoring, the whole lot. And then you can sort of link it to your stream as well so you can have live scores. So, we'll see how we go. But if you are interested, we'll send a link in the... We'll put a link in the show notes, but effectively mrpinball.com.au is where you can get tickets at the moment, and the all-access pass is up.
Okay. And there's going to be a Flip Frenzy as well?
There's also going to be a Flip Frenzy. So on the Saturday, we're going to do qualifying. Sunday will be finals for B Division and A Division. And on the Saturday night, the whole place will be a lockdown, and it'll be a Flip Frenzy for 3 hours. So that'll be fun.
Sweet.
So... I don't know how I'm going to go. They're sort of bigger tournaments than I've run in the past, so it should be lots of fun.
Did you see the Buffalo Pinball Open? There was 3. There was the Classics, Classics 2, and the main.
Yes.
It was won by 3 Canadians.
I know.
They should just rename it to the Buffalo Canadian Open or something.
I know. And you could just see the look on Jeff Teolis' face. He knew he was rubbing it in.
Except he didn't win anything, but, well, he came I think he came third in the Classics or Classics 2 or something, so he did pretty well.
Yeah, fair enough.
He got his whoppers.
Yeah.
This week in Pinball Money? No, Slam the Top 100.
Yes, Slam the Top 100.
It's time. Top. Okay, yes, I told you last week I'm going to smash you with World Cup Soccer, regardless of your argument, and that is true.
Yeah.
I got, I don't know, what's the percentage?
You got 79% of the vote.
Yeah.
I already
that's
calculated.
a decent amount.
Yeah.
I could, if I get a good pinball machine, I'm just going to do what you did last time and just say nothing and see if I can win. Because I really feel now that like the argument has absolutely nothing to do with it.
Of course. Well, what you've got here obviously is, World Cup Soccer, a game that people have played or seen, versus Safecracker, which nobody's played.
Do you really think that's it, Money?
Well, yeah, probably. I reckon I even had the better GIF. So. Yeah, it was.
Well, do you get why I did that GIF? Because it's a board game.
Yes.
It's not a pinball machine. Okay.
Yes, I totally got it.
Please generate a number from 0 to 100.
All right. 61.
Indy 500.
Indy 500.
We haven't done that, have we?
I don't think we've done that.
Okay.
There you go. Good.
I'll take it.
Suck
Please generate a number from 0 to 100. Fuck you. Please generate a number from 0 to 100.
Okay. 84.
Oh, yeah, big number.
Diner.
Yep.
Done.
Yep. Awesome.
Straight into it. Indy 500, a Dennis Norman classic. It sold like shit, but that doesn't mean that it's not. It doesn't mean that it's not a bad game. It's fun. It's fun as soon as you plunge the ball. Going for souvenirs. Who doesn't want souvenirs? 2 awesome ramps that represent the jackpots. It's really fun in multi-ball. The orbits represent kind of like overtaking cars. The entire game is a race, and the object is for you to do enough laps. I think it's like 200 or something. Or is it 200 million? I can't remember. Enough laps to get you through. And the position you're in matters. So the strategy involved. The turbo. What an awesome little toy. And you keep on building up the jackpot, and hitting that shot isn't easy, but it's oh so satisfying. There's a bit of risk reward as well with like the mystery award, where you have to you flick through and you choose your mystery award, but you've got like 5 seconds. So if you flick past too far and you end up on like 10 points, you're getting 10 points. So risk reward back in 1995. Indy 500, great bang back pinball machine. Tell me about Dynamite. Try and beat Indy 500, Marty. Try.
Well, it's gonna be somewhat hard because I think people probably know Indy 500 quite well. Okay, I'm going to do my usual thing. Everyone's going to say, oh, it's a better version of Taxi, but blah, blah, blah. It's practically the same as Taxi. It's not. It is a new and improved version of Taxi, right? And you know what? Who doesn't like racial stereotypes? We love them. And this game has got them absolutely in spades. Just really offensive, if we're really honest. So, you know what? If you like your pinball loud and red and offensive, then Dyna is where you can go. So, yeah, it's a great game.
Was that a 2? Was that a 4 against Buddy? All I'm going to say about Dyna Pinball Machine is when people were sitting down and discussing what theme should we do, okay? Someone puts their hand up and they say, hey, we should do about like the Indy 500. People watch it on TV when they're a kid. It's great. There's cars. We can do crashing. We can do this. We can do a turbo. Yeah, let's do it. Okay? That was the conversation then. And then there's another conversation. We said, hey, fuck, we're running out of ideas. What should we do? Do you know how we like go to lunch every day? We go to that shitty diner around the corner and we get like free coffee and we have to tip these shitty waitresses that hate their fucking life. Let's do that. Let's make a pinball machine about a diner. And someone should have put their hand up and said, no. But it went through and they made a pinball machine about a diner.
So, do you know what's really good about Indy 500? Multi-ball.
You told Dennis Norman it's your favourite Dennis Norman pinball machine, Marty.
Ryan. Multi-ball is really, really good on Indy 500.
Yes.
You can never get it because that lock doesn't work, and you even had the gall to mention it in front of its designer.
You also said you've never experienced it before, Marty. So
I'm just talking about you. You said
okay.
So, you know, it's great when you can get it, but it is so broken that you can never get it. So, nah, I'm not. But what I will finish with is the marketing slogans for Dyna, which I'm reading from IPDB.
Yep.
The rush is on.
Yeah.
A full menu of features.
You know what?
Get it while it's hot.
Do you want a pinball machine that looks like a fucking
fresh.
cloth?
It's fast. It's hot.
Red. People saying that Deadpool is too red.
No.
This pinball machine
really
is too red and white.
And my favourite, serving up the finest earnings. You guys need to vote for me just for that last one. Serving up the finest earnings. There you go. Vote for me. Vote for justice. Vote for Mark Ritchie. You know what it is? Vote for Mark Ritchie, because if we win this, he may come back and design pinballs again. Mark Ritchie, Mark Ritchie, Mark Ritchie. Arguably the better Ritchie.
I actually want people to vote for you, Marty, because that was some good effort. That was the first time I've ever heard you do a chant. Mark Ritchie. Oh shit! Dennis, no. It's Mark Ritchie sounds better when you chant it out. Dennis, yeah. Anyway, we'll put that up on Facebook. You guys can vote for Ryan for winning twice in a row. This week in pinball. Yes. What did you get up to, Marty, this week?
Well, I did my usual Iron Maiden stream.
Yeah, went pretty good.
Oh
it's mentioning a site link in the show notes, Marty. You can get like another 3 clicks.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, love it. Fantastic. But really, the big stream of the week was the stream that you and I did.
Yes, we went to an undisclosed location, and there was 31 pinball machines there.
Yep, at someone's house. At someone's house in which they actually built a house, and in part of the design was, I want this massive room so I can put lots of pinballs in it. What a legend.
The hilarious thing is that, yes, that happened, and he probably said, I want room for I think it was like 26 pinball machines or whatever it was, and thought that would be enough. That was like, that's too much, but let's just add some extra space anyway. And now he has 31 and thinking of kind of extending that room and doing this and doing that. I'm like, fuck, man. Pinball
so wasn't there like in the middle, there was like a ping pong table, a foosball table or something, or one of those hockey things, and a pool table, and it's like, probably don't need those anymore to fit more machines in.
He's got arcade games there that are like switched off and pushed into the corner, and pinball's the best.
And it was literally the who's who of awesome pinball machines.
Yes.
So Indy 500 wasn't there, was it?
Neither was any game from like the pre-1990s. So this guy's very much into the 90s Bally Williams games and starting to get more into the Sterns. And that's his issue, is that he's got all the good games from the 90s, but there's a lot of good games that came out after the 2000s that he's just kind of getting into. So yeah, we're not going to go through and name all the games. I did a little Facebook video. You can have a look. But you streamed Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes.
On JGP1, obviously.
Yep.
Medieval Madness remake, an Attack from Mars remake.
Correct.
Every single time I see Attack from Mars, every single time I'm like, oh wow, that is a lot nicer than I remember it in my head. Because every time I remember it, I'm like, oh, it's just a remake. It's just like.
And someone asked me on the stream. They said, "So what do you think about the remakes?" And this is what I said, and I probably said this before, but Medieval Madness remake is a really, really good replica of the original game. Attack from Mars is an enhancement of the original game.
Yeah. After last night, I was kind of thinking, I can't remember. I think somebody messaged me when they bought a remake and they didn't like it for whatever reason. And they said, do you want to swap? I was like, no way. But now I'm like, maybe I should go and find that email or that PM or that message. I can't remember who it was.
Well, and you remember all that carry on we went on about with the flippers and the randomness and not being able to pick our shots.
I didn't play enough yesterday.
I couldn't pick my shots. Could not.
You couldn't pick shots? Yeah. Okay.
I couldn't pick my shots.
Yeah.
Consecutively.
Yeah. You put me into all the games on the stream, and I didn't really want to play because I was playing all the other games. I was playing Demolition Man, and I've got my Demolition Man set up so hard that I've never progressed far enough into the game. I didn't know that once you finish all 4 multi-balls, it lights like a super duper jackpot up the right ramp, and you cash in, I think, all of the totals from all your multi-balls. So I got like that almost 3 billion on his Demo Man, and I love that game. But yeah. He's got awesome games. I know that means like nothing to people that are listening, but I was like a little kid at Christmas Day or something.
if he's got 31 games there, you would say 25 of them would be in the top 30 on Pinside.
Really?
Well, he had a lot of them. So
yeah, sure.
You know. Well, here we go. Did he have Medieval Madness? Yes. Attack from Mars? Yes. Not Iron Maiden. Monster Bash?
No, but he's getting the remake.
Twilight Zone, yes. Lord of the Rings, yes. Dialed In, yes. Addams Family, Indiana Jones Pinball Adventure, Star Trek Next Gen, Tales of the Arabian Nights.
No, he didn't have Toad. No, he didn't.
He had Theatre of Magic.
Whitewater, yeah.
Yeah, Simpsons Pinball Party.
So in the end, we are going to name all of these pinball machines.
Yeah, pretty much. So
Pre-Chase Guard, yeah. Shadow.
Yep. So
okay.
Pretty much just great collection. Didn't have any 500 though because it's not a great game.
So I didn't have Dino either. Hey, I played Party Zone.
Party Zone, yes.
That's a good game to shoot. I'm not sure about the software. I mean, the software, I had no idea what's going on.
No. So the problem with that, and sort of, games, I guess, of that era is that one just becomes shoot the left ramp.
The ozone ramp.
Yeah.
It's a very easy shot because it's an orbit / ramp, so you can miss the ramp but hit the orbit and then it'll go up anyway.
Yep. So, and what you do, you hit the ramp, it comes back to the left flipper, bounce it over, and then ramp again.
And that's all you do all day?
That's what you can do all day. It's a very safe strategy, but it's not a fun strategy. So what they do with that, they actually break the ramp so it doesn't come back to the flipper. It actually sort of goes into the middle of the game, so you're never safe. So that's what you have to do.
They break the ramp, as in like they put a diverter on it.
Yes.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Or you could just not include it in your game.
Yeah, pretty much. Don't put it in the
tournament.
But yeah. So there you go.
Anything else, Marty?
No, that's it. How was your week?
Pretty good. I had a No Good Gophers is gone. Hooray.
Yeah.
I was kind of happy when that left. The funny thing is that was my only reference for No Good Gophers, and then yesterday Eric had No Good Gophers and I was playing his, and I still don't like it deep down inside, but it does shoot a lot better. The issue with the one that I had was that when the ball hits the little circulating disc, it would kind of bounce up a little bit, hit the bottom of the jump ramp, and that sucks most of the momentum out of the ball, so the ramps are very hard to hit. Whereas Eric's just like had like a playfield protector on it or something, and the ball was just gliding across. Anyway, another pinball machine got dropped off. We're not going to play the guess the pinball game because I know you didn't like editing that. It's Dirty Harry. So I now have a Dirty Harry
you
pinball
bought Dirty
machine.
Harry.
No, I didn't buy it. It's free.
Oh, okay, cool. It's a drop off. Okay,
It's a drop off.
Dirty Harry's a fun game.
It is cool. It's very weird because I've hardly ever played it. I didn't want to play the one at Pinball Paradise, not in as good condition as a home use one. It's, I don't know. It doesn't feel like a Bally Williams pinball machine, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you know what I think? For me, that the thing that's different about it is the pretty much the lower, let's say, the bottom quarter of the machine. It doesn't have outlanes and sort of leading trajectory into the outlanes like other machines.
I'll have to have a look at it.
Yeah, so it just makes it feel a little bit different, and I guess the shots aren't necessarily where you would expect them to be.
Well, even like the
cool.
mode start. The mode start is a hole. Like I'm not sure any other Bally Williams game from the 90s that has, instead of a scoop, like Pat Law does his scoops, his mode scoops, it's a hole. It's a circle. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's someone that's going to email in and say,
heaps,
yeah. But I just it looks weird. If I feel like I'm playing some hybrid between a Data East and a Bally Williams pinball machine. But I'm learning the rules. That I've never played it before. There's a lot on there, Marty. There's a trapdoor that there's a trapdoor in the shooter lane that they literally just did so it diverts the ball to the gun.
Yep.
And they were, there's like nothing to them back then, but now that's like the only feature a pinball machine could afford to have, right? They got like the
toy.
Yeah, they got the magnet, they got diverters like all over the place. They got sculpted warehouses. I mean, the sculpted warehouses, like on a game these days from certain manufacturers, just be a piece of plastic, right?
Yep.
I don't know. It's crazy to think how much that game is, and it's still fairly cheap. So
yeah, I reckon you'll have fun playing that. It's a good game.
Yeah, the call-outs are very dry for me, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so dry.
I know.
Like it makes Alice Cooper feel like he's really putting a lot of effort in.
I know, they are really dry.
Yeah. You know, and it's the same call-out every time. Like, I've only played like a couple of games, but when you finish that mode and it's like, call the garbage delivery, there's garbage on the street. Something like that. You're like, oh, fuck. Sick of it after the first time. Anyway, I'll block my ears, listen to some Deadpool music or something, and enjoy playing that. So I'll be selling that in a couple of weeks or a month or whenever I get sick of it.
For sure.
So I'm going to pump it up, Marty. It's the best game ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You know what's funny, Marty? When I got that thing, everything was working. There was no errors except the right control gate that's meant to make the ball stay up there in the pop-up area wasn't working. I'm like, fuck, how do I fix this thing? I can't be bothered fixing pinball machines right now. So what did I do, Marty? What do you think I do when I don't know how to fix pinball machines?
You call Bruce.
Yes.
Is that what you did?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing was I called Bruce and he didn't answer. And then he called me and I didn't answer. And he left a voice message. And maybe I'll send you the voice message so you can play it at the end of the show. But it was just him playing Demolition Man. And I got a hold of him and he has a dirty hair at the bar and I didn't know that. But I was like, where does this go? Because it's not hooking up right. And he just took some pictures and we're doing FaceTime and yeah, it's solved in 10 minutes thanks to Bruce. The greatest pinball tech in all of Rochester.
So just the one machine this week?
Just the one machine. The other machine's going to take a while to get here, which is good.
And how's your search for my fourth machine going?
I messaged you today with a time warp. You didn't even.
I know. You know what?
$1,200.
$1,200 for a time warp that just looked terrible.
Did you read the description?
Nah.
It was
just a fuse.
Yeah, just a fuse. Doesn't work. Pretty sure it's just a fuse. Take a gamble, Marty.
Yeah, you just wouldn't. And I probably wouldn't because it's time warp.
Yeah.
And not if I had a collection of 50 machines, absolutely I'd go with time warp and I would keep the banana flippers. If I had 50 machines, but for my fourth machine, that's a bit of a one game only sort of venture there, so I wouldn't do it.
how about you grab my Quicksilver, Marty, and you fix it all for me, and then when it's fixed, you give it back.
Do you trust me fixing your machine?
You couldn't fuck it up more than
it's really bad.
You couldn't put it in a worse state.
It is.
It's funny because like people keep on coming over and they're like, "Oh, hey, I heard you got a Quicksilver and stuff. Can I check it out?" I'm like, "Oh, it's in the garage." So we walk outside, open the garage, and look at it. And like, okay, so you've done like nothing. I'm like, "Yep, I've done nothing."
So is it not working electronically?
It is. It's turning on. The displays work. When you hit certain, it's wired wrong. So when you hit certain switches, stuff doesn't work. The drop targets don't go up. They don't go down. I'm confident I can get it working. It's just my care factor about getting it working right now is very low.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does look pretty rough, but I reckon it could clean up well. I don't want to do it.
Yeah, no, I've got a Quicksilver. That's like they don't come up.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty much.
I was going to buy it no matter what condition it was in, and then I'll fix it and I'll have a Quicksilver.
Yep.
Versus saying, oh no, I'll pass on that and wait another 10 years to get a Quicksilver. So
yeah, okay, fair enough. So, have you found me a fourth machine? That's what I'm sort of getting at.
I don't know. Is there a punchline to this thing?
No, I just don't think you're working hard enough to find me my fourth machine.
But I'd send you stuff. But is this some? Do you want one of my machines, Marty? Is that what you want?
No.
My only issue is if I give you one of my machines, I'll want to sell it as soon as I get it back. That's what's happened both times. For some reason, I just don't want the machine after watching you stream it 1,000 times.
Well, if there's a game you're thinking, I'm a little bit attached to, but really it's worth a lot of money, send it my way.
As in, I use it as a okay, yeah. No, not at the moment.
Not good enough. All right.
My Star Trek LE. I'm getting a bit sick of that. Do you want that?
Yeah, probably could. I could do some heads-up tournaments at my place.
I feel like there's something else this week that I've missed out on, but anyway, that's my week in pinball. Okay. I have my tournament this week for those in Melbourne. I was worried last time about the 120 people that RSVP'd, and luckily not everyone came. Only 12 people have RSVP'd this time, Marty. It's the opposite feeling. No, I'm pretty sure it's just all the pinball people will come now, and it'll be good. So this Wednesday, Pinball Paradise, 22nd of August. Come down. Progressive Strikes, Kiefer Strikes, or Fair Strikes.
Aussie Strikes.
Aussie Strikes. There's 3 names now.
Yep. And we're going to stream it. Why not?
Yeah. Or if you come, yeah.
Yeah, if I can be bothered.
If you just do a room stream and just everyone would be like, "Hey, what's going on? I can't see any pinball machines." Yeah.
That'll be.
You should be here.
Great, given. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shall we go to the mailbag?
Yes. 2 weeks worth of mail.
Well, we do. The first one I just want to it was a nice little reminder from good friend. I'm getting confused now. I don't know whether it's Rob Peck or Dave Peck.
It's both. He's from Australia and New Zealand.
So Dave Peck. Just a reminder, Southern Hemisphere Pinball Championships are coming up. So if you haven't registered, register now. It's October 19, I believe, in New Zealand.
I was thinking that maybe I should have that conversation with my wife. I planted a seed today, and it's a maybe.
Yeah, I'm also tempted because I don't know. There's a meet happening this weekend up in Sydney, which is really tempting. I kind of couldn't really justify it. Had there been a tournament there, maybe I would have.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's the barn meet. I think we've talked about it before where Lee's opening up his barn with, I think, over 100 pinball machines. So there's some big collections in Australia, but it's going to be basically like a gathering for everyone in Australia to meet somewhere in New South Wales to just it's a massive piss up with a bonfire. And
it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it does sound awesome, but not this time.
We got 2 emails, Marty, about that issue with Iron Maiden and how to fix it.
Yes.
And from two different websites. I'm not sure if it's the same product.
It looks like the same product, and I believe the one was in Germany, and I think the second one's from Pinball Life.
Yep.
So I did go to the German one first. Guess what, Ryan?
It's shipped already? You got it already?
No, it was in German. So I couldn't really work out what I was doing. So I'm going to order from the Pinball Life one.
Okay. I'm pretty sure it'd probably have like like convert to English button, or if you're in Google Chrome, like you can just click translate and it does it automatically.
Yeah, maybe.
I thought you were a techie guy, Marty.
Yeah, I am a techie guy. I don't speak German, nor do I read it.
Okay. Oktoberfest might help you with that. It might be a hidden tool to learn, teach you how to speak a different language. We got an email from Paulie Balls. He got his T-shirt, Marty. He's pretty happy about it.
Yeah, so Paulie Balls is the guy that designed our T-shirt. So
we will never tell you his real name, Paulie. We didn't even get to see his face.
No, I know.
It's like the mysterious guy. Who is he?
Who knows?
It's Dirty Donny. He has aliases. Paulie Balls is his real name.
Funny.
For frenzy email, Consortium.
So we did have a couple of emails. We asked a couple of weeks ago about certain toys or mechs in games that had been used again that were either better or worse.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're heading with this. And the first email we got from Steve, and he said, "You were right that the pop-up targets were executed well on Cactus Canyon. It perfectly replicated an Old West quick draw and reinforcer theme. Other mechs used better or worse. The Ferris wheel. So on Cyclone, it was fun and reinforced the theme. On Cyclone, it was good. But then when you give it a double Ferris wheel on Hurricane, it was terrible because you had to wait. And not only did you have to wait, sometimes it didn't work." So, yeah. And better, it says on Fishtails, the ball lock is essentially the same mech, but it spins much faster, so the delay is gone. Theme-wise, it also looks great as a reel on a fishing rod.
Do they have it on Lexi as well? Lexi Lightspeed?
Yeah, it is actually.
8-ball
one. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Is that what the Ferris wheel is? Is that what it looks like? Because I haven't played Cyclone, so...
No, they're different. No.
Okay.
Another one he talked about was spinning discs, and this was covered recently, I think, on Eclectic Gamers podcast. They're talking about games that had spinning discs. It says, on Whirlwind, I find it fits the Tornado theme, and they spin in a way that's still playable. On Stern's NBA, that disc is a pain. It always seems to be in the way, doesn't fit the theme, and most I've seen the rubber surface got chewed up and mucked all over the playfield. Yeah, that's about right. Then there's so many spinning discs, right? So, Tron, for example, I think that spinning disc works really well.
Yeah, and you can change the rubber on that to make it it's almost like a kickback. It just throws it like crazy, and I'm afraid to do that, so I'm keeping mine as it is.
Yep.
Got an email also from Axel.
Yes.
And he says that I put forward that Rudy in Funhouse as the original example of something that works well, but his cousins in Roadshow Red and Ted, similar toys, nothing matched Rudy in the terms of his handsome and some would say creepy looks and attitude. Having said that, Red's hair head comes pretty close in terms of creepiness. But yeah, it kind of didn't work. You can't make Lightning Strike work at Lightning Strike twice in those two things, right? Like putting the ball in Rudy's mouth versus Ted's for multi-ball.
Yeah, it did feel, it was kind of like, yeah, you did it once, you haven't got any new ideas. Which is really strange because Red and Ted Roadhouse is actually jam-packed with lots of great shots. So it probably wasn't needed, but it did kind of fit in with the theme, maybe. I don't know. They could have just had a bulldozer
back then. Yeah, back then it was operator heavy, so it was like, hey, Funhouse sold well, one head, we give you two, like double the sales. Yeah.
Yes.
So who knows? But yeah, I every time you hear an interview, back in the day with designers, it was very much not like like the home market non-existent, so they wouldn't say, we really wanted to make really deep code to please those people so they wouldn't flip the game this and that. Like that's not in their conversation at all. It was all about pleasing big distributors so they can push their product as much as they could, because that was all their sales, right? And earnings on location.
Yeah, exactly. So here's a question without notice, Ryan.
Yeah.
what would you say would be one of your favourite sort of toys or mechs in a game? And what's your worst? And I'll phrase that by saying one of the worst is one that we played last night.
I know which one that is, Marty. You're talking about the Johnny Mnemonic glove.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it was hilarious because I played one game and you were streaming, so I was playing it on my own, and I didn't know. I'd never seen even a stream of Johnny Mnemonic, so I was trying to lock the balls and I was traveling so slowly, and I'm like, what's the point of that extra bit, to the top and the bottom? Like you just move it left and right. And I looked and there was extra flipper buttons there that I didn't even notice. And I'm sure the screen was flashing and telling me, but it's just too slow. You can't make people wait in pinball machines, right?
And it's really noticeable on that game because it is a fast flow game. And so it's shot, ramp, loop, glove, glove, glove.
Yeah.
So
you know what really made me laugh in that pinball machine for like no reason at all is the spinner was a 320 gig hard disk drive. It was circular instead of I don't know why that made me laugh. It just made
really
me laugh.
did. I was there when you saw that. And so the other one I think is just not that great is the claw on Demo Man.
Yep. I mean, I guess they couldn't think of anything else to put in there. I mean, they weren't going to put the seashells in there or anything. So a massive gun. I don't know. But I mean, as I said, Stern. I mean, what's the best toy on Deadpool? Exactly.
What's the best toy on Iron Maiden?
I mean, the Medieval Madness Castle is the A+ example that everyone gives.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think straight after that is the people say the Stern Pirates of the Caribbean ship, but I say the Doctor Who playfield because I think it's just fun.
That's also really good. But I think for a toy that actually
hard,
doesn't do much as far as interact, that ship on Pirates of the Caribbean, the Stern version, is fantastic.
Yeah, but never. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of, but I don't think the code complements it well enough. You can only hit it in one area. That's the difference between Medieval Madness, where you can hit it, it changes, you hit it again. You can go through. The ball goes through the castle.
Yeah,
ball goes through the side. There's a moat around it. Versus,
it pretty much either you hit it or you hit through. But for the wow factor, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think it's hard though. I mean, it can be hit and miss, and you could almost like ruin your pinball machine if you're over ambitious with one singular mech that you think is going to be the wow factor, and it turns out not to be, like the glove, like the claw, etc. So I think making a pinball machine that shoots better is a safer and also a cheaper route to go down. And I think that's kind of what Stern's aiming for at the moment. Or who knows? I mean, we could see the Munsters with like some insane mech that like, oh my gosh, I've never seen that before.
Yeah. But
Right.
and the reason why I mentioned Iron Maiden before, and we've talked about it, is that it doesn't need toys for it to be an amazing game. It's got to be a well integrated toy that, in a way, doesn't feel like it's just been put in there for cheap thrills. If that makes sense.
Yes.
And so people write in and tell us what your favourite toy or mech is on a pinball machine, and also write in and tell us what your, I guess, worst or most overrated mech or toy on a pinball machine is.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking of when they introduced all those people, the 6 people for the Deadpool pinball machine, the animations?
Yes.
I thought, fuck, that's a lot of money.
That's how much they're investing these days, and that's just one team. So
I absolutely didn't think that LCD required that much, and I'm like, take it out, go back to DMD, give me like either cheaper pinball machine or more stuff in there.
Well, and I guess that's it comes back to when we're talking about mechs and toys, and it's return on investment. Is the LCD screen that you see in the back, giving you that much of an experience? When done well, I think it does.
I just want the LCD to convey enough information that I don't need to hold down the flipper and cycle through to know what I'm up to or what I need to do. What I mean, I complain sometimes about certain coders and flashing lights and things like that. Dwight Sullivan is the king, I think, of like the payoff. You know, you get the super jackpot in Getaway. Bam, 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 bam. Makes you feel good, like you're a hero, right? It stages the ball. What Deadpool is missing at the moment is any sort of, you know, like you get Ninja Multi-Ball, and I'm not sure if this is like a plan to put in there. So the code is hasn't been completed yet. It's not at 1.0. I think it's at 0.85 or something. It's just like, oh, I hate ninjas, Ninja Multi-Ball, and the balls come out. You know, it's the same sword lock mechanism.
I know what you mean. It's the choreography, but that'll come. That's actually the easy part, is doing the choreography.
How do you know? How do you know? You reckon?
I don't know. Well, ask Tim Sexton. That's what he did for Iron Maiden. So, wasn't the light shows? Wasn't that what he was doing?
I think Super Slings was him.
Probably something like that. But no, I know what you mean. A bit of light and shade, a bit of contrast is required. Everything was happening all at once. But, you know, that'll just happen with code.
Yeah. Okay.
Are we done?
Sure.
All right.
I'm in deep thought about Iron Maiden as well, and if it has those moments, because Mummy Multi-Ball, you knock the ball out, and it doesn't know. It has a switch when the ball returns, so it doesn't know when the ball's out unless it doesn't go back and hit that switch within like a second or 2 seconds. So it doesn't really know as soon as it's in multi-ball. So that's why you get that weird start to Mummy Multi-Ball.
Yeah, it just happens.
Right? It just kind of happens, and then it's like, okay, the ball didn't come back, so now I'll dim the lights and everything. The start of Trooper is quite good. But there's no staging or anything for like the super jackpot. Like it could put, you know, hold the ball there on the post and then kind of like Twilight Zone, like go for the super jackpot shot. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just in deep thought.
Everybody, this is the mind of Ryan. This is now. You're going to be thinking about this for 24 hours now. I'm going to get a message first thing in the morning.
I'm gonna watch Johnny Mnemonic. I'll report back on. I'll give my movie review next week.
Okay. In advance, what a crap movie.
Okay.
All right, everybody. We'll speak to you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
This is why I didn't answer your call. I was playing.